The room went quiet the moment Ilia Topuria leaned in. He didn't shout. He didn't scream for clicks. He just said it with a calm that felt dangerous. He wants the fight with Islam Makhachev at 170 pounds. He will beat him, and he will win a third UFC belt. That sentence, simple, bold, and unapologetic, landed like a challenge thrown across the entire sport. It wasn't grandstanding, it was a plan. When asked directly whether he would prefer to fight Islam at 155 or chase him at 170 for the chance at a third title, Ilia's answer was precise. It would be much better for me to fight him at 170, and I will beat him and get the third title. That will be the best scenario for me. Those words tell you everything about Topuria's ambition. He doesn't want an easier answer. He wants the biggest one. Stop for a second and imagine what he is proposing. Ilia Topuria, already a featherweight champion and a nightmare in his division, is offering to move up and take on the current lightweight throne holder, a man who, like Topuria, comes from a deep wrestling and sambo background, who is calm under pressure and built for control. Islam Makhachev is a complete fighter with a legacy tied closely to Khabib Nurmagomedov. He is not an easy target. Yet Topuria says he will move up and win. That claim reveals two things: confidence and strategy. Ilia isn't promising a fluke. He's promising a plan. He knows the publicity value of beating the man who stands at or near the top of the sport. He knows the cultural and historical meaning behind beating Islam. And he wants that history to say his name, not just to collect another title. Dig into Ilia's record, and you see why he's so loud about it. He rose fast through the ranks, putting together a streak of devastating finishes and surgical striking. He has a mix of boxing precision and brutal power that has already undone elite fighters. He reads distance like a player reads a chessboard. He times counters the way other guys time breaths. In the featherweight division, he has been both patient and ruthless. He waits, then explodes. He leaves no doubt, but Islam is far from a punching bag. He carries Khabib's legacy in his corner, the same discipline, the same sambo roots, and the same feeling of inevitability when he closes distance. Makhachev has shown an ability to mix striking, wrestling, and control into a complete package. He can wrestle you flat, submit you, or slowly take your body apart with grinding top pressure. He also proved he can stop elite strikers. He isn't a one-trick horse. He's a championship-level machine. So what would a Topuria versus Makhachev fight actually look like? First, there is the physical question. Moving up a weight class is more than adding pounds. You face heavier frames, harder shots, and different ranges. But Topuria has shown he carries power and timing that can hurt bigger men. He's not just a featherweight who punches hard. He's a strategist with power, and his style can trouble fighters who expect raw wrestling battles. If he can keep the fight at his preferred range and land clean counters, he could tilt the fight in his favor. Second, there is the wrestling match. Islam will try to use top control and takedowns. He will attempt to drag Ilia into uncomfortable positions, sap his energy, and methodically break him. That's Islam's path to victory. For Topuria to win, he must do two things: avoid being taken down consistently and hit Islam hard when the chance comes. That is easier said than done. Few fighters have shrugged off Islam's grappling and left the cage looking mentally intact. Third, there is the coaching and camp advantage. Islam's team includes veterans of Dagestani wrestling and the Khabib system, an environment built on repetition, drill, and iron conditioning. Ilia will need to bring a specific camp that prepares for late fight scenarios and for wrestling that is relentless. But Ilia's team is no slouch either. He trains with sharp-minded coaches and game-planned sparring partners. This wouldn't be a mismatch of preparation. This would be a fight of plans. Now step back and look at the narrative value. If Topuria moves up and knocks off Islam, the conversation instantly flips. Instead of being Khabib's heir, Islam becomes the man whose crown was taken by a fighter who embraced the biggest possible risk. Ilia becomes the multi-division legend he's promising to be. The storytelling alone would sell pay-per-view numbers and create a ripple across MMA history books. But there is another layer to Topuria's statement that matters just as much: the psychological pressure. Islam is a calm man, but he's been compared to Khabib his whole career. That comparison is a blessing and a burden. Ilia's willingness to move up and take him is a direct psychological play. It forces Islam to choose: stay at lightweight and defend his title against this hungry challenger, or ignore the challenge and keep the status quo. Either way, the pressure moves to Islam, not to Topuria. Topuria's promise, "I will beat him and get the third title," is also a public contract. He's not hedging. That makes him more dangerous in one key way. He's staking his reputation in the heat of the moment. When a fighter goes on record with such certainty, they are not just speaking for themselves. They are asking the world to watch and judge. That creates momentum. Momentum changes how camps are run, how matchmakers think, and how fans vote with money. Of course, we must not ignore the critics. Many will point to the ladder of weight classes and say Ilia is reaching. They will list the dangers of bigger men and the uncertainty of taking on a champion in his prime. They will remind fans of fighters who failed when they tried to chase bigger dreams too fast. Those are fair points. Pathways to greatness are littered with fighters who moved too quickly or underestimated the craft of heavier men. But Ilia's words are not foolish bravado. They are a calculated risk. He knows the stakes. He believes his tools translate. The lean technical striker with knockout power is betting that his skill set will remain effective against more powerful opponents. He believes his fighting IQ, his ability to control distance, keep a pocket, and land counters can neutralize Islam's wrestling rhythm. Let's imagine the fight plays out as Ilia hopes. The first rounds are a chess match. Ilia moves with discipline, opens angles, and lands crisp counters. Islam gets one or two takedowns, but can't hold the dominant positions long enough to sap Ilia's energy. Midway through the fight, Ilia lands a hard combination that rocks Islam. The crowd rises. Ilia smells the moment. He pours on pressure. Islam uses his grappling to survive, but Ilia's combinations keep coming. Late in the fight, a perfectly timed shot, the kind Ilia has put on so many highlight reels, ends the night. Ilia becomes the first to capture titles in 3 divisions, and the sports landscape changes overnight. Now imagine the opposite. Islam uses his wrestling to control rounds, steals close decisions, and forces Ilia to chase late in the fight. Ilia's power remains dangerous, but the heavy top pressure and pace win the day for the champion. Fans complain about the lack of excitement. Topuria is asked to go back to the drawing board. This sport has both endings, and both are possible. But the real point here is not which script will play out. The real story is that Ilia Topuria threw a gauntlet that matters. He publicly declared his intention to face Islam at 170, and to win more than a single title. He declared he wanted a legacy that stretches across weight classes. That kind of ambition alone shifts how we think about both fighters. It forces the UFC to consider new matchmaking. It forces fans to dream bigger. And it forces the fighters to answer in the gym. For the casual fan, this is a headline drama. For the hardcore analyst, it's a chess match of styles and weights. For the fighters themselves, it is a test of courage and planning. Ilia's words, simple, sharp, and impossible to ignore, have already done their work. They've moved the conversation. They've put Islam on notice, and they've created a fight that fans will want to see. At the end of the day, Topuria's guarantee is a promise to the sport. He's saying he doesn't want comfort. He doesn't want easy checks. He wants the defining moment. Whether or not the fight is made, his words reveal the hunger that drives the best fighters. The need to test themselves against the very best, to risk everything for history, and to chase a name that won't be forgotten. So ask yourself this: who fears the bigger challenge? The champion who must defend his throne, or the challenger who risks everything to take it? Ilia Topuria has chosen his side. He's put his name in the ring, and he's daring Islam Makhachev to meet him there. The rest of the world is ready to watch.